let's talk about the top tips for light tackle jigging. Right now, there is a pretty tremendous light tackle jigging bite going on. It really started to bust loose with this last cold front. The river mouths are officially on fire. Right now, if you get a chance to get a quick evening or morning shot, this is the time to do it. This is the one last night. They could not leave this alone. And the terrible thing about these lures is they look so pretty. It's like, oh man, I don't want to throw that. It's too nice. I want to put it up on the mantelpiece. But the fish really slug it. Top water was excellent, and jigs were also totally doing the trick. There were birds that were up and down on these pockets of fish. They were going crazy and then disappearing, going crazy and disappearing. So my number one tip when it comes to that kind of situation, you've got these birds just going wild and they're in the mouths of the river feeding. Can anyone guess what my number one tip is?
Don't drive the birds.
Don't drive through the birds. My general rule of thumb, when I'm within about 200 yards of the birds, I come off a plane. When I'm within about 100 yards of the birds, I slow way back. And when I'm within casting distance of the birds, I'm at clutch speed. That's it. If you got a two-stroke, you're better off shutting it down. If you got a four-stroke, a lot of guys say shut the motor down, shut the motor down. If you got a four-stroke, honestly, you can't hear that underwater. And I don't say that on a conjecture. I say that because I've dropped down a microphone and listened to the different types of motors underwater. When you've got boats that are driving down all the birds, there's really not much you can do about it. Yelling at someone doesn't help. So you have to kind of start going faster and then pulling back and trying to get on top of them and getting a few casts before they go down. When the birds go away, unless I see another patch of birds to go to, I'm going to stick in that area, maybe putt around really slow in a big giant circle and work the meter and work jigs deeper. So, and the one other thing that I wanted to say about the birds, and I also forgot, go around the birds and start on that upwind side and blow through where the fish are. And instead of getting in a cast or two before you get out of range, you'll get in 3 or 4 or 5 casts before you blow it away. All right, so we go to tip number 2. When you've got these schools of fish breaking and you're casting, you're catching 10, 12-inch fish, leave. I know that sounds simplistic, but I can tell you how many times I've caught 1, 2, 12-inch fish and been like, all right, let's get out of here. And everybody's like, what? Never leave fish to find fish. And it's like, you know what? The 26-inch fish don't really hang out with the 12-inch fish. Now, if you're catching 16, 18-inch fish, might you want to work that school for a little while? Yeah, you might. When you've got the little fish up top, right, it's always a good idea to put on something heavy and go down all the way underneath them. Sometimes you'll find bigger fish that'll be under the little fish breaking water. The big fish are lazy, right? Yeah, they're lazy. Right. They're happy to sit down there and wait for the little fish to go crazy and attack stuff and somebody get injured and sink down. And they'll pick it off. They don't have to go chasing it all the time. So it is always a good idea to go deep underneath of the school of fish up top. You might get bigger fish. Tip number 3. Now, if you're light tackle jigging, you want to be using braid. Right? The no stretch characteristics of braid, A, give you a lot more feel, B, give you a much better, quicker hook set, because there's no stretch going on. I have Power Pro in here. I don't think the brand makes much of a difference myself. All the braids seem pretty similar to me. But there's one thing about all of them, and that's that they are not real great when it comes to abrasion resistance. Mono is actually much better at abrasion resistance than braid is. So, Rudow, what's the tip? The tip is, check this line just by doing this. At least, halfway through your fishing trip, every now and again, when you're grabbing at that jig, just slide your fingers up and down this line. And always be looking for any kind of fray. I can't tell you how many times I've set the hook on something and gone, oh, I had a nick in the line. And it's not like a nick in the line with mono, where you still get, half the pound test out of the line. It'll break really easily. Part of the problem is, you might have a fish that goes under the boat, and this line rubs against the side of your boat, and you don't realize it. That right there is enough to take you from landing a nice fish to losing a nice fish. It can happen pretty quick. All right, let's go to tip number 4. Worry less about the brand of the jig you buy and worry more about the color and the size. PKD, everyone recognizes, right? I'm sure everyone's used Bustums, everyone's used Bass Assassins. Bottom line, they really kind of all work. They do. The important thing is, are you matching the size and shape of the bait, and are you giving them the right color? And when it comes to color, the general rule of thumb I live by is match your bait color to your water color. Okay? That's why everyone's heard the old saying, if it ain't chartreuse, no use. And what color water do we have in the bag? Kind of green, right? The last few years, the water's been a little clearer than it has been in the past, right? And what color's been kind of hotter than usual? White. Exactly. Exactly. As a general rule of thumb, it really works. You give you a tannic stained river, right? Root beer is a really good color. The sun goes down, it's dark out, there's no light. What's a good color? Black. So match that lure color to the water color. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about the plastics, about the tails, is you got a couple basic genres. This is a straight tail. You also have your paddle tails, right? And any good angler with their salt can work this jig and catch fish. The problem is when you get people who don't fish aboard your boat. I get a lot of people aboard my boat who don't really fish. They may never have fished before. They may be very young and just not used to it. In that case, I never give them one of these because no matter how many times you explain it, it takes time to really figure out how to work these baits. Give those folks paddle tails. Because the paddle tail, pretty much, you cast it out there, you reel it back, it's got action, the fish will eat it. And for a long time, I used to just have all these on my boat, and I noticed that kind of the newbies, they did not really catch fish. And what I started doing is, I always have the paddle tails, and when I've got something I'm unsure about, give them a paddle tail. Tip number 5. Some guys are going to totally disagree with me on this. Some really good anglers are going to totally disagree with me on this. But this is what I've found. When you're working this guy, or any topwater bait, you get a lot of blow-ups that miss. Right? That's a standard fare for a topwater bait. 2 schools of thought. 1 is keep going. 2 is stop. Twitch. Then move again. And I got to say, I'm a really strong believer, and when a fish blows up on this, I just keep on rolling. You agree?
Yes, absolutely. All the way up to the boat.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes 3 feet from the boat, they'll blow up on it. When you stop, that's not when this thing looks real. It's when it's moving that it's getting the fish excited. And a lot of guys say, oh, well, you should stop and give the fish a chance to catch up. No. You can't reel that fast enough for a rockfish not to catch it. I guarantee you that. You turn the crank on the spinning reel like this, literally as fast as you can, your arm's getting ready to fall off, you can barely touch 6 miles an hour. Measure out a distance, get a stopwatch, and try it. You'll find that that is the truth. You can barely get over 6 miles an hour, no matter how hard you crank. And I guarantee you, a rockfish chasing after that thing can go a whole lot faster than 6 miles an hour. So if you stop it, I really think you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Just keep that thing rolling. And often, what happens?
Bite you right at the boat.
Yeah, they just come right back and bite it again. Last night, remember the one time
It had 3 blow-ups. It was just Dad kept on reeling and it blew up after it every time. Yeah.
They just keep after it. So the topwater, keep it rolling. So we're on to tip number 6. And we're going back to the jigs for tip number 6. So a lot of guys nowadays do what they call snap jigging, right? Kimbrough popularized this. It's where you snap that rod to really, really hard. And the first time I saw him doing it, I thought, this guy's nuts and he's going to hurt something. And then he caught a fish. And then he caught another fish and another fish and another fish. And I was like, holy cow, he's on to something, right? Because I had never yanked the rod that hard. But he taught me something that day. He taught me that that quick motion really does work. Now, here's the problem. Here's the thing. A lot of guys, when they do that, that quick tip up is great, but then they drop that tip right back down. What does that do? What does that leave in your line? Slack. Right. Fish bites that lure when they're slack in the line, you will never know it. Fish bites this piece of plastic and lead, you've got about a third of a second to set the hook before it goes pip. So, tip number 6 is, when you drop your tip, never drop it faster than that jig is going to sink. Always maintain the barest minimum amount of tension as you go down. And snap it right back up, but maintain that tension as you go down. You feel that little pop as you're dropping, and that's usually when the fish is going to hit. That's the bulk of your hits. Keep that tension on there, and you'll never feel it. Just for the record, I go all over the place. When I'm fishing, I may start like this, and I may try like this, and if I'm not catching fish, I'll start doing this. I'm a firm believer in mixing it up until you figure out what the fish are going to take.
Anything else for Lenny? Obviously, we can listen to him all night. Probably.
I thought I saw one more hand over here.
I was just going to comment that if you haven't read the magazine or especially the reports, you know, between myself and probably more of my friends, probably fish 5 or 6 days a week, and your reports are spot on.
Oh,
So I would strongly encourage you to do that. They've been very helpful, but also very accurate.
That's great. Thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate
And I have no affiliation.